So what do you do when you plant the tree in the perfect spot and then it's not the perfect spot? We're going to talk about that today. Hi everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you today on January 1st. So Happy New Year to everybody. So it's January 1st, 2018. It's about 9:30 in the morning out here. I'm going to say it's about 45 degrees. We're headed toward about 70 today. For those of you on the East Coast, sorry. I know it seems like I say that over and over again in the wintertime with a lot of these videos, but hey, come summer when we're 115, it's going to be beautiful where you're at. So it'll be a nice trade-off. But what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about what do you do when you take a tree, you plant it, you think it's the perfect spot, and then you realize, whoops, it's not the perfect spot, and for whatever reason you need to move it. Well, that's the situation that we're actually here in today, here on the farm. So what you can't see next to Lori is our pig pen. So I'll link our pig pen video here so you can take a peek and see what's sitting over to my left, her right. But really what it is a 16 by 16 foot pen for our two pigs. You know, when we put it in, the idea was we had something that was fairly temporary, easy to put in because we're not really handy when it comes to that. But it served us well. But our two pigs, you know, we're getting about a month from processing now. They're pushing, well, they're probably over 200 pounds at this point from the estimates that we've done. So they're getting big. You know, there's enough space in there for them, but they like to run around and roughhouse, and, you know, I want them to have more room. And, you know, when Lori and I talked about it, we agreed we really need to expand it. So that's what we're doing because we're going to continue raising pigs. We really like it. So what we're going to do is we're going to triple the size. So we're going to go from a 16 by 16 foot pen to a 48 by 16 foot pen. So we're going to effectively triple the size of the pen itself. Don't know for sure whether or not we'll carry more than 2 pigs at a time, but we figure 2 to 4 pigs, that's plenty of space. So that's really what we're kind of facing today. So in order to do that, we need to rearrange a little bit. So our original plan for this area right here was actually to have a small patch of fruit trees that we're kind of really testing. Not necessarily varieties that are kind of known varieties that we know do really well. We've got several of those, but these are kind of tests. So we're testing a couple varieties of cherry trees, which we'll show you again in another video. Testing a jujube tree, which we already know is going to do well, but it didn't really kind of fit into where we had the rest of our orchard trees. And what's behind me here is a quince tree. So this quince tree is a Carp's sweet quince. So that's what we have behind us. We've already moved a couple of these trees. Well, actually there were 4 trees total. We've already moved 3. We've got this one left to go. So the quince tree. So quince tree is a deciduous tree. So here in Arizona, our trees struggle a little bit with going into full dormancy and losing all their leaves, which is a good indicator that they are fully dormant. So one of the things that we've done in a prior video, and I'll link it here, is showing you how we actually ensure that our trees lose their leaves, get into dormancy, and take advantage of the limited amount of chill hours that we do get here. So that's where we're at with this tree. This tree is in full dormancy, and so this is the point where you would want to move it. Now we've moved other trees. We've moved citrus trees. In fact, we've moved citrus trees out of need in late spring, early fall, so when we're still really hot, and they've been fine. So we've had a lot of success with moving our trees here on the farm. We haven't lost one yet. So we're looking forward to going ahead and moving this tree and giving our pigs some more space. So back to the tree. So our tree's in full dormancy now. So when you think about trees like this, we did get this tree from Rain Tree Nursery. They shipped it to us in the mail. We got it a little bit late, so this tree went into the ground in April, I want to say, of this year. So what are we looking at? About 8 months. So it's been in the ground for about 8 months now. So what we're going to do is essentially what farms would do with this size caliper tree. So it's probably about, I'm going to say it's about a 1-inch caliper, maybe just shy of that. So if you were to order a 1-inch caliper bare root tree, this is essentially what you'd be getting in the mail. So what we're doing is what those farms would actually do. So they would dig this tree up. Essentially it would have a small root ball or just roots, just small roots coming off of it. We're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go down about 1 foot and then we're going to have about a 1.5 to 2 foot diameter ring of dirt that we're going to dig up out of the ground with it. Now as far as where it's heading on the other side of Lori. So we've already prepped that space, and I'll link a video here that we show you what we do to actually prep desert soil. So that's already been happening for a few weeks. So that's being prepped under wood chips. You'll see that here in just a minute. And then we're going to dig this tree out. So what I do want to show you real quick, if Lori can slide in, and then we'll talk about our tools. So what I want to show you is this ring. So I'll link another video for you guys, if you haven't seen it already, on how we plant our trees. And you're getting a good idea of what happens after just a few months of that process. So what we do is we have a hole in the middle that we dig. We have a ring around that, so we build a little moat, essentially, that the tree itself sits in when you first plant it. And then we have a larger ring around the outside, and this ring's about a 6-foot diameter ring that we dig down. We put a layer of straw down on the bottom and then wood chips over the top of that with our irrigation. And we use drip irrigation here. And which has, by the way, been very successful for us. We do very, very well with our fruit trees. They're extremely productive on drip irrigation. So back to the ring. So what happens with this ring is over time and water with the wood chips, essentially the straw composts down, bugs get into here and start doing their thing as far as eating some of that material. And then of course they got manure too. They're living animals. So that's essentially what we have down in here. So essentially what we've got is we've got this ring, and if you look down in here now, you won't see any straw. All of that straw is already completely decomposed in the 8 months that it's been here. The only other thing we've done with this tree is we've done just a little bit of fish emulsion fertilizer. We've done that twice. We did that in May, and we did that again, I want to say, in September. I think it was end of August or September. So very, very little as far as fertilization. We didn't do any fertilization out in this outside ring, and if Lori can squeeze in here, all we've done is move the wood chips back, and I can see I've got sow bugs, pincher bugs. We got down to 37 degrees. We were down in the 20s about a week or so, week and a half ago. So we've had some cold weather, but this about, I don't know, I'm going to say about 8 to 12 inches of wood chips has kept this nice and warm. So I've got bug activity down here, and we've got really hard pan soil. Our soil here is super, super hard. It's like concrete. So I'm just going to dig down so you can see what this looks like. So you can see from just hard desert dirt, you can see I've just got beautiful, beautiful soil. So just amazing what some wood chips and a little bit of water will do to your desert soil. So we'll start to get some of the harder dirt down here, but still I can put my hand in it. I was knocking this stuff out with a chisel when we were first putting irrigation back here. So it does an amazing job. Now what you'll also see is a root. So you can see already I've got feeder roots from that tree that are out here in this ring. These trees, even trees that are not native to here, quince is not native to Arizona. It's not. It's a upper northwest. I mean, it's like Oregon, Washington kind of thing. And we're here in Arizona. It's growing fine, just like our apple trees that are producing amazing. It's because of what we do to maintain and build the soil. So when you talk about amendments, the only thing we've done out here where these feeder roots are, 2 feet, almost 3 feet away from the tree, is just what you've seen us do with straw and wood chips. So what's really important is that you're working away from the tree. When you first plant your tree, you do want to have some drainage. So if it's really hard, sure, amend it. But you don't need to be overly concerned about what amendments are going out around that tree. These tree roots, and we've been 8 months with this tree. 8 months of this tree, and these feeder roots are already out here 3 feet away from the tree on either side. So they're already out here in this 6-foot ring. So again, critical with what you do on the outside of the tree. Yes, you need something for the first few months in the middle of the tree, but you can see already 8 months out, it's a few feet away from the tree. So very important. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our supplies. So to move the tree, it's not going to take much. So we've got a wheelbarrow. I'm going to use that wheelbarrow to take a little bit of the soil that the tree is in now out of the hole, and we're going to put it into the hole that it's going into. I'm not going to amend any of that soil in the transplant hole. There's no amendments there. It's going to be native soil. We're going to use some of this soil that it's been growing in. So I've got that in the back there. So I've got our wheelbarrow. Got our hand truck. You'll see Lori helping me out getting the tree up out of the ground so we can transport it over to its area where it's going to be, where its new home will be. We've got some clippers here. So these clippers here are just what we use for pruning. So we've got some pruning shears here. That's actually going to be for roots. So we've got probably, or at least we should, run into some better roots down towards the bottom of the tree and immediately around the tree that we're going to have to cut through. So we've got that. Just in case we need to cut some roots, we can do that. I've got a spade, so we've got just a regular spade that it's got a good strong fiberglass handle. That is actually what I use to help pop some of the roots if I need to get underneath the tree. And then I've got sort of a trenching shovel there. That's going to help me get down about a foot or so under the tree so we can get the right depth. So those are the tools we're going to use to transplant. So what we're going to do now is Lori and I are going to get our hands dirty. We're going to show you how to move this tree. So we're going to give you a little bit of a time lapse here so you can watch us actually moving the tree. So stay tuned for that next. Okay, so we're back, and you just saw a time lapse, hopefully, if things work right, of us digging this tree up and then transplanting it. So one of the things that I had mentioned earlier is we had already gone through and prepped the soil. So what you saw when we brought the tree over, there's two different types of soil. The first one that we put in immediately around the tree was dirt, not amended, just dirt from around the tree where it was already growing, so where some of the roots had been established. So we took some dirt originally from there, brought it over into the hole here, so it was kind of comfy and used to the first amount of dirt, and then we just put regular dirt around that. So created a little well on the inside with that little berm on the inside. We'll run drip irrigation just like we did when they're new. We'll run drip irrigation around the middle part of the tree, or the center part of the tree where the trunk is. We'll run that for the first few months once we get into spring. So we'll run that in there for the first few months. Once we see it start leafing out and taking off, we'll move that dripper back out into that outside ring and start watering on the outside to pull those roots back into that outer ring. So that's essentially it. So this tree's in its new home. It's back here next to the third row of our orchard. So we got a couple trees that we just put in, actually not much older than this tree. So these went in last January. We've got a winter banana tree here, which is on my left-hand side, your right-hand side. But we got a winter banana here, and then an Einsheimer there. So a couple apple trees, and then you see some of our citrus trees in the back. So you get an idea of where its new home is. So it's back here. We got about 10-foot spacing off of these two trees, which is plenty of space for this quince tree. Over here with the apple trees, it'll be nice and happy. So that's essentially it. So thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this quick video of how you move a tree from one spot to the other. And we just want to remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. We actually planted this tree it was actually late. And our chickens are going to come in. They're doing a cameo. Apparently they want to dig. So, hi guys. You're in my spot. And of course, is this Annie? Yeah. It's Annie, yeah. So she's the first one in, of course, and is finding all the good stuff. Okay, guys, seriously. You're doing a fantastic job filling in for me. I'm gonna let them take over. You guys go ahead and move the tree for us. It'll be fantastic. Might need a cut.